Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. Today, I want to talk about essentially something financially, but somewhat non-financial, how social media actually controls everything that you do. I realize that because of the things that we interject into our orbits and also what we essentially see each and every day, that it controls what we actually do. And a lot of us are no longer reading. We're just watching. We're just listening. And we're not even listening to ourselves. We're not even listening to our family members, our mothers, our fathers. And I'm not saying all of us, but a great number of us. Whether you be 16 years of age or 50 years of age, a lot of the information, a lot of the things we do, a lot of our identity is from social media. And, there's a healthy balance of social media, the type of information that you actually receive from, but we need to understand how social media shapes our identity. It really shapes who and what we are. But social media is a platform for people to voice their opinions, talk to people across different countries and networks, giving you a political and personal stance and also information. But it is also a form of mass media. That's why they call it social media, because everyday people can do it. Now, let's talk about specific topics like health and weight. On one instant, social media could be a good thing when it comes to health and weight, because you can go online and you can find out about the right nutrition, the right foods to eat, how to work out, when to work out, sleep, all of these great things that social media can do for you. But on the other hand, social media is a platform for people to essentially convince you that being overweight is okay, that being fat is okay, where we know that majority of obese and fat people have a lot of medical issues. This is how social media plays a role in your everyday life and shapes your identity to convince and persuade and coerce you of things that are not really healthy for you. But it is a compare and contrast. There's always a yin and a yang. There's always a positive and a negative. But you got to understand what side are you going to stand on and what side you're not going to be coerced or convinced of what's good and what's bad. Now, most of us have a conscience, okay? Most of us have a spirit that lets us know what's good and what's bad. Now, granted, let's say, for instance, the whole Lizzo situation, right? That's very popular. That before Dr. Boyce Watkins came out and was talking about how Lizzo's weight and her projection of her weight is actually unhealthy for the Black community. I agree 1,000%. Well, quite recently, Lizzo, within the last week or so, she actually came out and she said that she's not feeling so great being overweight and obese, and that she's, in a sort of situation trying to change that. Look at that. Now, did he implant and give her a sort of projection of her own self, or did he plant a seed of doubt to let her know, hey, your current condition is not really good for you? Everybody knows being overweight and obese is not good. It's not good for your joints. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for your cholesterol. It's not good for your blood pressure. It's not really good for anything. And most times than not, you have to buy bigger clothes. So that's more expensive. Let's move right on to clothes. How do you guys start being fly and stunting and being on fleek, whatever the case may be, whether it be clothes, jewelry, cars? Who projects those things into your mind? It's not you. You didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, and never seen one, You seen cars. You said you wanted a car. But then you saw a Ferrari. Then you saw a Maybach. Then you saw a Porsche. Then you saw a Maserati. You say, well, that's what I want. And then you worked your butt off, or you cheated your butt off in order to get that particular vehicle, which is a liability. It really don't bring in any money. No one's Ubering in a Ferrari. Maybe some rich guy out there. But you see how social media projects these things in your subconscious. And then what happens in your subconscious, you start to act out, you start to think, you start to say things and do things that you don't even know you're doing it sometimes, or even you don't even know the reason why you're doing it sometimes. It's because of the things that you allow inside of your psyche, inside of your spirit, because the things that you watch over and over again, the things that you listen to over and over again will change your identity. When people saw like, oh man, you changed a whole lot. That could be for the good. That can be for the bad. What about in your relationship? A lot of people, when you're going through different things in your relationship, you go out and you look at videos. You don't talk to maybe your mom who's been married 30 years. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. You don't go talk to your granddad who was married 45 years. He can tell you the highs and the lows of relationships. No, what you go do, you go type on Twitter, you go type on YouTube, you go on all these other social platforms, and you talk about relationship issues. Well, I think my girlfriend is cheating. I think my boyfriend is cheating, or something like that. And you go watch all these videos, and they start to plant seeds inside of your mind. Now, what is their narrative? Was she a battered woman by a boyfriend or husband who was always cheating? Did he had a gold digger girlfriend or wife that's the reason why he stepped out? What are you listening to? What are you subscribing to? What is changing your identity? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. What is changing your identity for you to be who you are today? How about this? What about the political structure you believe in, or the political identity that you subscribe to, whether it be the three forms, or the only three forms of government that we really have when it comes to politicians is Democrat, Independent, and Republican. That can actually shape your view of how you look at the world, how you look at the U.S., how you look at other people. Automatically, take for instance this, automatically a lot of African descendant people, a lot of Black Americans believe that if you are a Trump supporter, you're a racist. And so, knowing me, again, I'm non-political. I don't follow any political branch or entity. But think about this: what if there's a Black person who actually follows Trump? So you're calling another Black person racist. Could they be racist? In a sense, they could actually support the system of white supremacy and racism. So that's very nerdy, but this is how social media controls you. It controls your thoughts. It controls the way some of you dress, the way you eat. Again, it's a positive and negative. There's a yin and a yang. But how do you differentiate the difference between the two? How do you know what's good and what's bad? Now, some of us still have a working conscience. Okay, some of us still have a spirit that lets us know what's good and what's bad. But some of us are so tuned in, we're so plugged into the matrix of what everybody else is doing with their life. We go to websites like World Star, World Hip Hop Star, World Star Hip Hop, Boss Up, the Red Velvet Room. I don't know. You got all of these social media platforms that people subscribe to, and they go read all of these entertainment and stars and athletes' business, and then they interject that into their lives. Like, oh, my boyfriend should be buying me Balenciaga. He should be buying me a Fendi purse. I should have this and I should have that. Very, very materialistic things. We're start becoming someone else. You ever heard the term, well, what happened to him? He was such a nice young man. What happened to her? She was such a respectful woman. This is how social media controls us. And guess what? We continue to allow it to happen. It changes the way we even think about money. Who are investing their money? That's the question I have for you guys. Who are investing their money? But I don't want you to lie about it, because a lot of us say, well, I'm investing, but when I look at your expenses, I see that you are spending more money on trash, on junk, than you are actually investing. And you wonder, how did I get to this point? And I know, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a very popular topic. This is not a very popular discussion, but it's something that I believe that you should think about that may help you be a better person. Because what is the concept of social media? What is the concept of social media? Because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, some people believe in social media that propaganda does not exist. Because here's the thing, headline, this person is dead. And then everybody thinks that person is dead, and then that person comes out and say, I'm not dead. Or the situation with like Steve Harvey and his wife, they're getting divorced. We're not getting a divorce. But everybody thinks because a headline came up, because it was blasted across social media. And the three main social medias are what? YouTube, IG, and Facebook. So if it's on those three, they must be true. There's a saying that anything that's on social media must be true because it's on the internet. So I want you guys to really think, how do you differentiate the difference between the truth and what something seems to be factual, and how that essentially gets inside of your subconscious and comes to fruition in order for your identity to be changed, either for the good or for the bad. Now, we know that our youth, Generation Y, even the millennials and some of Generation X have been changed by social media, whether it being materialistic. And I'm going to speak on the very derogatory and the very negative things right now. Let's go back over this. Weight. For some strange reason, social media on some accounts has made being obese and overweight, especially in the Black community, unhealthy. But again, we've been saying this for years, but social media has essentially times 10 this thing to a point where we're even fatter than we was back in the early 2000s. Okay, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You being overweight, you being fat is still unhealthy. You still can develop certain issues like gout, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. Okay, and you may have certain issues with your joints and knees and ligaments and believe me, being obese is a real fickle animal that none of you should want to strive to be or be comfortable. Like we used to say in the hood, she thick, so she nice. Yeah, if she's thick now, she's gonna be fat later. I promise you, if she don't change anything. If she doesn't change anything, and the little small petite girls that nobody really want now, everybody want them, because you're like, well, the big girl ain't gonna last. That's just the truth. And I'm not saying you should body shame people or you should talk bad about people, but you should have a great understanding that how social media plays a role in what you accept. If I keep giving you images and you keep looking at those images, and I'm convincing you, I'm persuading you and telling you that these images are good, believe me, 9 out of 10 people will start to leave. Oh, that's not too. First it's like, nah, man, I don't know. Then you keep looking at it, you keep reading it, you keep listening to it. You're like, you know what, man, I guess it ain't that bad. Then you keep reading it, you keep listening to it, you keep looking at it. You're like, man, that's pretty good. It amazes me how social media repetitively can change your identity, and it can change the way that you think about things. It can totally reverse what you think. If I told you every day that the sky was green, and on maybe a day with an overcast, you're like, you know what, he is right, because you keep listening, you keep watching, and you have to make a really good decision on who and what you listen to and what you look at. When it comes to fashion, a lot of us are spending money at a very enormous rate that we simply can't afford, but because social media told us, and I'm gonna go back a little bit. I know some of you might understand this one. I'm gonna go back a little bit when it comes to fashion, because I'm not really into it. Most of my clothes from the Gap, because I have Gap rewards. But Bathe and 8, remember Bathe and 8 or Red Monkey jeans? And let's take, for instance, Jordans. Everybody like, I got to get a pair of Jordans. Now me, do I have Jordans? Yes. but there's a certain limit that I won't go over. Jordans are nice shoes. They, very fashionable. But if you're trying to keep up with, quote unquote, the Joneses, and you are trying to buy some of these shoes that I don't like, the $500 pair of Jordans, or the Yeezys that are like $900, or Balenciagos, or Gucci, or Fendi, or Prada, and all these Italian names, right, that are very expensive clothing. But you guys go out there and you strive and you try to work hard to get these things, but you're still living in the ghetto. You're still living in the hood. You're still living in the slums. But what has changed your identity for you to think that spending all your money on monetary things and clothes is cool? And if it's not you, it's your kids. You allow your kids to believe that they need these things to be cool. But this is how social media controls everything you do, from what you put in your mouth, or what you believe about yourself, or what you wear in your body. It does all of these things, or what you drive in your car. And this changes it changes male and females alike. It changes male and female alike, because women like, oh, I don't want no broke dude. And so a guy who may have a little bit of money, may not be totally broke, goes out and try to buy a car to try to convince a girl who don't want a broke dude, but he's actually broke. The only thing he got is that car. This is how social media controls everything you do, and your eyes on a prize. One day you're going to be 40. One day you're going to be 50. One day you're going to be 60. And guess what? If you don't have no money coming in, if you don't have no money in the bank, where are you going to be at? Where is she going to be at? Where is he going to be at? Because there are men gold diggers and there are women gold diggers. There are men who actually relies on women to support them, and vice versa. I know this is not a very popular topic, ladies and gentlemen, but I believe that this needs to be said over and over and over and over again, so you can self-identify with who and what you are. Are you a figment of social media, or you a figment of your own imagination and what you want to shape yourself to be? Because some people would like to believe if you have a big house, a nice car, and 50 grand in the bank, that you're successful, okay? Because that is what social media is teaching us. If you have a lot of money, and you have a lot of materialistic things, then you're absolutely successful. What about this? What if you'll find with a small house and some regular old clothes that nobody don't know the name brand of, but you're happy with you and your significant other, you're happy with you and your kids, and you can provide for yourself, and you guys can take vacations. And that's why I noticed. I ask people, have you ever been on vacation? Nah, man, I've never been on vacation. Like, dude, your shoes are $2,000. Your shoes are $2,000. How is it you never been on vacation? Because, hey, man, these the hot joints out right now. Okay. You have $900 Jordans on, but you've never been on vacation. You've never been to the Bahamas. You've never been to Jamaica. You've never been to Mexico. You've never been to Las Vegas. You've never been to Hawaii. Matter of fact, you may live on the East Coast. You've never been to the West Coast. You might live on the West Coast. You've never been to the East Coast. It amazes me what we spend our money on according to what? Social media. Social media. What's fact, or what is fact or fiction? What is truth, or what seems to be factual? How about this? Political. We talked about political, right? So I was looking at a lot of videos with Ice Cube, and also people who kind of follow Roland Martin. And so it was this lady who was kind of raving and ranting about how Ice Cube, she said F Ice Cube and this, that, the other, and he ain't nothing, but she used the SHIT word. And I was like, why would she say that? Because, Ice Cube made a contract with Black America, okay, with Black America, but because the Democrats shut him out and the Republicans invited him in, she automatically called him a sellout, and because he ain't nothing and Donald Trump ain't nothing. But he even said, hey, I talked to both parties, and both parties, didn't want to talk to me. The Democrats say, well, let's wait after the election. Well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's after the election. Have you heard anything about the Democrats talking to Ice Cube? Because if you really want to do something for Black people, wouldn't you? I mean, he went to whoever want to talk to him. He made it bipartisan. See, this is what I don't understand about politics and people. People who ever speak to your talking points or what you believe, whoever panders to you, that is what you believe. That is absolutely phenomenal to me. It makes me really think. It really makes me go in my thinking box and like, how are people so easily manipulated? Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, any bill that's passed through the House, through the Senate, and goes to the president is a bipartisan bill, or one political party has more control than another political party, but I will assure you they still need votes from the other party. So essentially, most bills that are passed are bipartisan. Because they would say, oh, well, 100 Republicans voted in yes to this, yay to this, and 30 Democrats reported yay to this. Now, I understand that there's difference in the percentages, but nonetheless, if you are doing a contract with Black America, right, you want to go to the political powers that be, and you say, hey, listen, I want to see what you guys are going to do for Black people so I can go and tell Black people where they should cast their vote at. Some people already made up their mind, oh, well, Donald Trump, he's a racist, so I'm not going to vote. And here's the question. And I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. I'm not an independent supporter of anything. But I like to think about things very, very neutral, okay? I like to be in the middle of things. Think about it like this. I want you guys to really, really go back and think about Donald Trump. Now, in my opinion, he's a despicable person. He's done some things, and we've heard him say some things about women and some other things. But when you really, really think about it, what has Donald Trump said that was actually racist? What have Donald Trump actually did that was actually racist? See, that's the thing, that when the Democrats were attacking Donald Trump, we feed on it, right? Because that's all we look at is MSNBC and CNN, because that's a Democratic-run news network. Mass media, aka social media, controls everything you do. It also controls how you look at things, how you hear things, how you project things, what you believe in. It's tied into every point of your life. Because listen, ladies and gentlemen, anything that controls your mind controls every facet of your life. Every facet of your life. Anything that controls your mind controls every facet of your life. Back to politics. So the question was, what did Donald Trump do and or say that was explicitly racist? Because we like to label him as a racist, and I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. Okay, I didn't even vote because I don't care. What I care about, when a brother like Ice Cube, where we all know where he stems from, he's always been real. But we talk about certain issues. He said, I'm going to talk to whoever's going to talk to me. The Democrats said, hey, we're going to talk to you after the election. And the Republicans said, we'll talk to you now. Now, the Republicans were probably playing the long game. They just wanted probably a little picture, but Ice Cube didn't give them that. He said, no, we're talking about real issues. But the Democrats never contacted Ice Cube. Then the Democrats had to, the civil rights leaders, people like Al Sharpton and some others, was waiting forever, just like the Black Lives Matter movement was waiting forever for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to even talk to them. And then when they talked to him, Joe Biden basically told them, we're not doing nothing for you guys still. Thank you for your vote. We understand that 87% of Black people voted Democrat, and you guys are the ones who essentially put us in office, because we understand that only 67% of Hispanics voted Democrat and the rest voted for Donald Trump. We understand that only 50% of white people voted Democrat and the other 50% voted for Donald Trump. But this is how they project things in our minds. They go, oh, well, you know, he told the Proud Boys to stand back and stand back. Maybe that was a message. Oh, man, you'll be a fool if you didn't think that was a message. I don't know. That's the problem. They play on our emotions. They play on our thoughts, and they start to persuade us to think one way. They don't want us to think two ways, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe he just see now he said some dumb stuff. Maybe he did give them a message. He said it's the China virus. It came from China. I mean, for most people I know, man, it's common sense. He called it the China virus, where COVID-19, where it derived from? China. Could that have been racist? Maybe. It depends on your perception of what you think. But who changes? Who gives you the thought of your perception? Social media, mass media. Think for yourself. There's really, really great things in social media. I go on social media almost every day to find out new workouts for my body, healthy herbs for my body, another new wave of thinking. But there are also a negative side of social media where you guys can go in, you can voice your opinion. You can say some really outrageous and heinous and hateful things. People do it all the time. People bash people all the time. People talk bad about people all the time. And you'll have people just chiming in and agreeing. Yeah, he fat and nasty. He's stupid. He's this. He's that. I'm just talking about anybody right now. But this is how social media changed the very identity that you have because it controls your mind. And anything that controls your mind controls the very facet of everything you do in your life. It controls the way you think, the way you eat, the way you act, the way you dress, what you buy, where you live. It controls everything, who you hang out with. There's some people, especially during every presidential term, they lose friends. They lose family members. And I know you've seen this stuff all over social media. People are turning their backs on friends that they have had for years, family members that they have had for years, simply because they disagree. Now, here's another thing. They have this council culture, right? That they, and social media created this narrative of counseling somebody because of things that they did and said a long time ago. How stupid can we be? How illiterate can we be? How unforgiving can we be that something that you did or said years ago can now counsel you today? Remember the whole situation with Kevin Hart? He had made some homosexual jokes a long time ago, and quite recently, was in the last 3 or 4 years, it came, or last 3 to 5 years, it came up, and he kept apologizing. So he wouldn't lose fans, he wouldn't lose Skrilla, he wouldn't lose money, because social media told us it was bad. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just be real. You don't have to voice everything you think. You don't have to voice or post anything that you see or say. You don't have to. You don't have to, because in this world today, anything that you put out there in the atmosphere will come back to you on social media. If you say that I don't like homosexuals, you just said that. You just said I don't like homosexuals, right? You just said it. Boom. Do you know you will start getting hateful speech? Do you know you probably start getting death threats? Because social media has coerced our minds that you can no longer free think. You don't have freedom of speech, okay? One of your constitutional rights, you can throw that out the window. You can throw a free speech out the window. You can't post anything, and you can't just say anything. They will cancel you like a bad habit. They will talk to you bad, worse than you've ever been talked about before. So don't you ever think that you have freedom, because social media essentially controls everything you do, and then you will be a hypocrite. You'll be wanting to say something that you didn't say because you know that some backlash would occur, but you end up commenting on someone who's going to say the very same thing, and you bash that person because social media told you that it was okay to do. That's what social media has done. Social media entertainment has told you that popping a Molly is okay, so you pop Molly. Social media has told you that drugs is okay, so that's why you do drugs. It's okay drinking a little bit of lean, getting some Percocet, some methazine, some Zodine, all the zines. Okay, all with anything ended with a zine, that's what you want to take: codeine, methazine, thorazine, Visine. You want to take it all because social media said this is how you get high. This is how you look cool. This is how you get a buzz. I remember back in the day where weed was just enough. Weed was just enough until we know certain government entities introduced crack cocaine into the black community. But I digress. But weed was just enough. Okay, the Native Americans passed that down to us, and we're like, okay, that's cool. It actually helped me with my glaucoma, helped me with my pain, you know. But social media has made other drugs, prescription drugs mostly, though, and opioids popular and cool to actually do. Oh man, yeah, you know I'm on that lean. Lean in what? Yeah, make you lean over and die. You remember what happened to Lil Wayne? I think he had a heart attack or a stroke because he was doing lean. But ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to give you that quick message about I really want you to take control of your own life, because we understand how social media can essentially control everything you do because it controls your mind. And anything that controls your mind, believe me, controls everything you do in life. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and don't let social media control everything you do, just some of the things you do, and hopefully they're good things. I'm out.